Historically, these two pro gamers have faced off against each other many times, and they've given us some of the most exciting StarCraft 2 that we've ever seen. So hopefully, today's best-of-3 series is gonna be a good one as well. Game number 1, it takes place on the map Stargazers, and spawning right here in the top right-hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs. From South Korea, we have ByuN. His opponent in the top left, playing here with the red Zerg drones, likewise also from Korea, and likewise also a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. We're looking at Dark's main hatchery. Alrighty, so just because I was curious, I decided to look up how many tournament games these two have played against each other. In my mind, the first game must have been played in like 2013, maybe 2012 or so, but apparently they faced off in the GSO Code S in 2016 for the very first time. That is pretty interesting. Although, in my mind, 2016 is also like 4 years ago, which turns out to not be entirely true, but that's besides the point. Since then, though, they have faced off against each other in 46 tournament matches. ByuN apparently won 85 maps, Dark won 78. Meaning that even though they are super good at the game, and usually even at this level, there's a pretty significant difference in the win rates, right? So usually it's like at least 60-40, maybe even 70-30. ByuN has won 52.15% of his games against Dark. So I guess he is the very slight favorite. Although recently it seems that Dark has won the majority of the games. So these guys have been going back and forth against one another for many years. They're both very good. They've both earned a lot of money playing this game. So hopefully this is going to be a good match. And if not, I guess you're never going to be watching this because I won't be uploading it to YouTube. If that's the case, I'm just talking to myself in a room, which I guess is what I'm doing anyways. ByuN going for a quick pocket expansion. This is something he's been doing quite a bit. Actually, once more, mixing up his build order a little bit. That is funny to me. So, when you first start playing StarCraft 2, right? You've got one build order that you do against everybody. Then when you get a little bit better at the game, say you reach like, Platinum League or so, maybe into Diamond, you start optimizing your strategies for each and every matchup. Then when you get a little bit better than that, probably Grandmaster League or so, you start optimizing your build order for every single matchup on every single map. So, for example, on the shorter maps, you play something a little bit more aggressive, and on the bigger maps, well, you play, obviously, a bit more of a macro-focused style instead. At the very least, that is, in my mind, the obvious thing to do, but many of the players do disagree. Very quick third CC, once again here, by the way, from ByuN. Anyways, these two, what I'm trying to get at is they have many different build orders for each of the maps, but they're not just thinking about the matchup, they're not just thinking about the map, but they're also thinking about the opponent and what strategies they have shown to that opponent recently, as well as historically. What you don't want to do against your opponent in this particular series is play a predictable style because, well, obviously, since there's so much history between these two, and since the opponent is very, very good at the game, it may just be, a little too easy for them to try and outsmart you. So what exactly do we have right here? ByuN going for a very fast Stimpack with a quick third command center. This is a ByuN build to a T. In the meantime, though, Dark, okay, he's scouted a little bit, but not really anything too crazy. No, he's just decided to go straight for a Roach War. I don't actually believe that this is the best choice. So, the timing of this Roach Warren is a big indicator that Dark wants to be aggressive. And if he wants to be aggressive, he's gonna hit with a bunch of Roaches. Okay, he's gonna hit with a bunch of Roaches on the other side of the map in about a minute or so from now. Yeah, he's making Overlords. Zergling speed is going to finish. How much gas do we have? We've got 3 gases mining. This man definitely plans on making a whole load of Roaches here as soon as that Warren finishes, and there they come. Okay, so Dark is gonna go for an aggressive build. The problem is, that Stimpack upgrade is really quick. Normally with a third CC opener, we don't see that Stimpack upgrade at this point in the game, but, well, ByuN doesn't actually have that big of an army. There's obviously no Banshees or anything like that coming up. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even have a starport. So he's going for a... Well, he's going for a starport right now, but he's going for a triple barrack start with a very quick third command center, but then also a very quick Stimpack upgrade. I'm a little bit concerned that Dark is going to hit right as Stimpack finishes, and that's a bit of a problem. At this point, ByuN must have seen those Roaches. They're taking every single path that they can. There's a Reaper on the Watchtower as well, so he certainly knows that he needs to play defensively. Bunker is coming up right now. ByuN actually needs to... Okay, no, he does start up a supply depot. Getting a little bit concerned right there. Overlord is far away, though, here for Dark. So usually you do want to have an Overlord scouting the high ground. Maybe what Dark was hoping for here is that ByuN would have already established the third CC on the low ground, although that would be a little bit early. Without the Overlord, though, in the proper position, and this is what's throwing me off a little bit, you can't actually bile the high ground. So Dark is going to have to get a unit to get that high ground vision, okay? Apparently this Roach, it is the chosen one. Immediately, there's a bunch of units hitting away. Stimpack at this point is done. Obviously, there's no Medivacs out just yet, so every single Stimpack is super expensive. Nice concave setup right here by Dark, trying to make the best of it. Here go the corrosive biles. There is one supply depot with a hat over there, so he needs to be very cautious. Since this is a triple CC start, though, Dark needs to kill, like, I don't know, 20 plus SCVs in order to justify this attack. He's already going for a double lair on the back of this. That's obviously a mistake, but that is a big indicator that he does not believe he's going to be able to win with this fight right here. And so far, this attack is completely worthless. There's a lot of units stimming down the ramp. Okay, those corrosive biles still end up connecting in the end. Zerglings running straight into the main base as well. SCVs pulled away from their mineral lines right now too, just to soak up a little bit of damage. Keep in mind, with that third CC, ByuN can lose a bunch of SCVs. It doesn't really matter all too much. Dark, at this point, not in the best of economical situations at all. So as long as he can push back, the Terran that is, as long as he can push back the Zerg units, I think he's going to be A-okay. Overlord gets popped. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. 1-1 is just about to finish up as well. ByuN can even load up those Medivacs and go across the map as soon as this aggression is, well, dealt with. Siege tank at this point available. Would love to see a re-wall here. And I think everything's going to be A-okay at that point. Okay. So, a hectic early game. Even though I think ByuN's situation in this game is a little bit better than Dark's, despite the fact that you look at the numbers right now, it doesn't look too good. One thing you have to keep in mind is that Dark is very late on those additional drones, so only just now is when he finally started making those workers. Plus, his upgrades are super late, especially when you're playing a Roach-based army. Yeah, especially when you're playing a Zergling Baneling-based army, even more so. But especially when you're playing these like smaller unit larger unit compositions with lots of small units, these upgrades are super critical. So ByuN here, sadly for him, a little bit late on the armory. He's not going to be able to go straight into 2-2. But I actually think that this situation is, I was going to say maybe superior for ByuN, but Dark has done a very good job. Just droning super aggressively and still teching up. Going straight into a hive right now as well. Okay. So he's trying to catch up in that tech department. I guess this game is actually relatively even right now. Yeah, the fact that the armory is late really does not help ByuN. So in order to go for the 2-2 and the 3-3 research, you need that armory. This feels bad, man. There you go. Finally he starts it up, but if he could have continuously gotten those upgrades going, I think life would have been a little bit better. 13 more drones coming up on the back of this too. Okay. So Dark has no chill. Going for the 4th hatchery here. Wants to go for the pocket expansion as well momentarily, it seems. And he's going to go for his double infestor hit squad. This is something he loves to do. Whenever he goes for the infestation pit, he pretty much always, when playing this roach-based army, he pretty much always mixes in 2 infestors. Just for a couple fungals. We've seen it deal a ton of damage in the past. And then when he gets to the hive tech, he will usually add on a couple of vipers as well. Makes a lot of sense, but he seems to be the only Zerg player at this level that actually consistently makes a couple of infestors pretty much no matter what. ByuN really needs to be out on the map right now. He really needs to start denying some of that creep and potentially deal some damage. Obviously, he's very good at that multitasking. There we go. A little bit of a scan over here. One of the queens. Ooh, pick up, pick up. That was close. That one Baneling was ready to blow up, but apparently ByuN picking up at the last possible second. He needs to make sure that this Zerg player is a little bit better contained. Terran army moving across. So this is a funky little Zerg unit composition. Roach Ravager, Ling Bane. Yeah, we see it quite a bit against Protoss, but against Terran it is a little bit funky. He'll probably want to steer away from the Roaches and the Ravagers here eventually, so that's why we're seeing melee upgrades and even Adrenal Glands right now. There's the 2 Vipers, by the way. 2-2, just about to finish. I think that's what ByuN is waiting for here. Thinking about going for a Doom drop straight into the opponent's pocket base, I would imagine. ByuN sees that there's an Overlord there, so he needs to be very careful. I'm surprised that the drop here at the bottom section of the map has been as passive as it has been. Kind of interesting. Anyways, in the meantime, Dark, after playing very aggressively in the early game, he's now taken a more passive approach until that Nidus network is done. He's also going into an Ultra Cavern though, so maybe he wants to wait until he can send a couple of the big boys through that worm as well. Either way, an Overlord here already providing vision of that pocket expansion. If ByuN is too aggressively out on the map, and he now loses quite a bit to a few Banelings here in that pocket base, if he is too aggressively out on the map, there's a chance that just a big Nidus worm can deal a tremendous amount of damage. Those infestors, keep in mind, those infestors, fungal growths, yeah, forcing those units at the very least to be split already, so ByuN unable to push super aggressively here into this newly acquired base from Dark. Actually, it's not that new, huh? Whew, parasitic bombs just barely keeping all of this alive. Fungal? There's the fungals. There's the fungals. Even some microbial shrouds. I'm not entirely sure what the point of that is. Take that, Metavex. You will now deal 50% less damage. Ha! Got him. What is 0 minus 50%? Oh, half of 0. Pretty good. Okay, so yeah. Not the most successful amount of aggression right there, but ByuN did secure a 4th CC. The fact, though, that he goes for an orbital command over here, yeah, it's a big indicator that he's not feeling too comfortable in this game. I think if you feel pretty good about yourself at this point, and the game has been relatively even, you'll go for a planetary fortress here, but ByuN taking a small risk. Obviously, Zergling run-bys are going to be a lot more terrifying here, but he's taking a risk to try and get some more economy going here instead. 3-3 throw? 3-3 though is nice and quick now compared to the Zerg. So maybe he can go for a timing attack when those upgrades are done. But so far, yeah, Dark has been in control of this game. Nidus Worm going up. Ultras at this point are... yeah, they are out. And since Terran is so far onto the map, right? Oh, he doesn't actually notice. He's busy microing over here inside of the pocket base of the opponent. There's another parasitic bomb on top of those Metavex, sniping them as well. Queens are going to be pretty good, but here's the worm. We're going to unload? No, I think he's just hitting at the front as well, trying to... okay, just use that Nidus worm as a distraction to force those Terran units from the front all the way towards the back. And now suddenly that base with the orbital command is wide open. Dark absolutely controlling this game from start to finish here. I really thought he was going to be in some more trouble as soon as that Terran army was free to roam the map, but... yeah, ByuN a little bit slow on those upgrades, not playing as confidently as we've seen him play in the past. Puts him in his awkward position. And now 36 SCVs have already gone down. This command center is not going to be able to... oh no. Hello, we got to lift that. No, we're not going to lift it? Okay, well that's an orbital command gone. Despite the fact that there's no anti-air in this Zerg army at all. Other than maybe a parasitic bomb, but you can't throw that on a planetary or an orbital. Anyways, yeah, that command center just full. So, where are we going to go from here? I've got a feeling that the best thing you can do right now as Terran is just go for a big attack. Try to hit your opponent right around the time that they do not have their upgrades and you do. Now, he's got a pretty big timing window there, because these are still about 2 minutes or so away from finishing. But this is becoming a pretty desperate attack. Another Nidus Worm going into the pocket base. Dark ready to throw more fungal growths here if he can. Widowmine's trying to get good detonations in, but despite the retargeting, they actually don't do any damage at all. Now the orbital, the Widowmine right there next to the orbital command is also going to be shooting at the Overseers. That's not where you want to have them. Now the Nidus Worm is out too. A couple of Banelings apparently come rolling out of that. Maybe they wanted to go for the mineral line, but Dark is absolutely dominating here in game number 1. Excellent game here by him. Next up, Data C. Maybe I underestimated the amount of damage that Dark did with that first push of his. Here's the thing though, I've played that opener from Dark many times before on the ladder myself. So there are a couple of builds that Terran can go for that are really good against that Roachling Ravager push. First off, it's a Banshee opener, so a blind Banshee opener absolutely shuts it down. And secondly, the Stimpack start. So if you see that the Terran player has Stimpack done by the time that you get across the map, and they have 3 command centers as well, you know that just the mules from those 3 orbital commands are just gonna... They're gonna provide you more economy than the Zerg player at that point has in total, right? At the very least, that's what it feels like. Even if you kill 20 workers, oftentimes you're really not in that good of a position because you're behind in the upgrades, you're behind in the tech, and Terran usually gets pretty aggressive on the back of it. Now, we did see Dark killing a bunch of SCVs with that early game aggression, but it really didn't seem that much to me. Maybe we did see quite a few supply depots that had like a little supply depot drop on them. So that means that ByuN obviously spent a bunch, he spent a bunch of energy from the orbital command to try and make sure that he's not supply blocked. That could have been a mule instead. And I think we saw like 4 of those in our previous game. I didn't count them, but I think it must have been at least 3, right? Maybe 4. There were a couple in the pocket expansion and a one on top of the high ground too. So that could have been a couple mules. That's probably about about 700-ish minerals down the drain. That is quite a bit. Not really necessarily what you want to see. And then I think that armory actually really adds up. The upgrades are super big, and yeah, ByuN was just kind of sitting there. He probably tried starting up 2-2, and then he realized, oh crap, I never started up the armory. Even at this level of play, apparently, that mistake is made, and yeah, it's not one that you really want to see, but it's a very significant error. Because of that, ByuN couldn't get all too aggressive. And despite the fact that his economy was fine, Dark had all the time in the world to get his 4 bases saturated, and he just found himself with way more stuff there in the end. Anyways, Data C. What's gonna be the plan this time around? We've seen actually quite a few of those Roach-based openers lately. Like Serral versus Clem comes to mind as well, right? Where Serral didn't find too much success with those... Yeah, just straight Ling Bane openers. As soon as he started mixing in a bunch of Roaches, though, he suddenly seemed a lot more dominant. We've seen the same thing happening with Dark lately. He really is a big fan of the Roach. Anyway, ByuN going for a more classical 1-1-1 this time around, but with a quick third command center. So, with the most standard, the most old school 1-1-1, you go for 1 barracks into 1 factory into 1 starport, and then eventually a third command center. But now ByuN went for a barracks into a factory and then a third command center and then eventually a starport. The timing of this still works out. If, for example, he would scout a quick Roach Warren once again, he can still get himself a Banshee out. Assuming he goes for a tech lab here. Yeah. I actually like this opener a lot with a Banshee regardless, because you don't really rely on scouting all too much. And when you're 1-0 behind against Dark, I do think going for a blind Banshee is a good start anyways. I'm assuming this is going to be a Viking? No, it's going to be a straight Liberator. Okay. Liberator? Really? So there's the Roach Warren again. A little bit later than in the previous game, but this is Dark, so you never know. He's going for a second gas. Are we going to go for a third gas as well? In the previous game, he had 3 gases. ByuN scouts it, so that's nice. No, I don't think this is as aggressive of an opener as the previous one. He's droning behind it. He's not making a lot of overlords here. He's only gone for 1 additional gas rather than 2 additional gas. I think this is going to be a more passive approach. Stimpack comes up. So yeah, imagine this would have been the more aggressive variant, right? Imagine this would be Dark hitting his opponent in the face in about 30 seconds from now with that exact same build that we saw in the previous game. It's basically an auto win. It's an incredibly strong build against the most standard Zerg versus, or Terran versus Zerg openers. Anyway. Yeah, it's just going to be a pretty conventional follow-up right here from ByuN. So ByuN apparently not taking the bait here. Despite the fact that this really did look like an aggressive Zerg opener, I think that these Roaches are mostly just going to be defensive. Liberator. Getting a queen. Will it get a second queen? Nope. Honestly, not worth. Those Hellions were a little bit disconnected as well. I mean, there were Roaches, I guess, to greet them, so... Not really liking this game all too much. The series so far... I mean, Dark definitely playing a little bit cleaner. Now, what's the follow-up going to be with these Roaches? So... Okay, it's a lair together with double Evo. This could just be the most old-school Zerg opener ever, where you go for the maxed out +1/+1 Roaches. That seems to be what he's going for right now. He does go for a 4th hatchery, but that could just be a macro hatch. Yeah, look at that. So he's going missile and carapace. This is the build order that I teach everybody who ever asks me to do StarCraft 2 coaching, okay? So I've done a lot of coaching over the years with, I don't know, maybe 50 different people. The +1/+1 Roach speed opener is and just remains the go-to. We don't see it super often at the pro level, but it's very good if you execute it cleanly. This is one of those build orders that works in every matchup, on every map, against every type of opponent. It doesn't really matter all too much. So you can use the Roaches early on for base defense. You still get Zergling speed in case you need it. But then you try to hit your opponent in the face with 1/1 and Roach speed. So if you line them up properly, you can finish up these upgrades right around the same time. And then obviously you hit a massive power spike on those Roaches. So that's exactly what Dark is going for here. This is just the quintessential +1/+1 Roach speed timing attack. That is kind of fun. He's been making a lot of Roaches, so I think he wants to hit his opponent pretty soon. We'll probably wait for those upgrades to finish up, but the 4th hatchery is mostly just here for larva generation. Okay. ByuN, in the meantime, is finishing up 1/1 as well as combat shields. He really does not want to go for a move out right now, because he'd be running into a Zerg player who's ready to attack him. No Roaches in the main base, so that's the main downside of going Roaches compared to Lings and Banes. You can't reactively really send those units in. I mean, you can, but this happens. Okay, this is good right here for ByuN. He needs to be careful, though. This is going to be an awful lot of Zerg. So you can either attack when you're maxed out, or you can attack when these 2 upgrades finish up. 40-something Zerglings on the back of this. Ravagers morphing in right now as well. Dark is ready to go for a push. 13 Ravagers. Does he have enough larva to flood with more Lings? Well, he doesn't even have a lot of money, so he's got this one, keened out very nicely. He knows exactly what it is that he needs right now. All army hotkeying everything that he's got to watch the other side of the map. There are 3 siege tanks set up. ByuN has got some good SimCity here as well. This is not an easy position to break, but I think he's ready to come in from every single angle. Well, apparently not from the top one. Is there enough, though, to break through all of this? There are some corrosive bows going down on the 1st tank. 2nd siege tank in a little bit of trouble over here as well. 3rd tank is going to get targeted down, and just with the most old-school Zerg build order. This is what we saw back in 2010. Dark cleanly sweeps ByuN out of the game.